Raven Rock, Nevada, 11:27 p.m., early autumn. The desert wind rolled off the canyons like a tired prayer, carrying dust and diesel through the neon glow of Eagle's Rest Bar. Inside, Ryder Cole sat alone at the counter, boots up, vest faded with road miles and history. The door creaked open. A young woman stepped in, torn jacket, sunburned cheeks, eyes that looked too tired to still be standing. She stopped beside him. "You Ryder?" she asked. He glanced over, voice quiet but heavy. "Depends who's asking." "My name's Lena Hart," she said, trembling. "My brother sold me out. That got his attention. Sold you out how?" She swallowed hard. "My family ranch. My mom's house. Even the horses. He forged my name, took a payout, and left town with Raiden Cross's crew." Ryder set down his coffee. "Cross," he muttered. "That scum still breathing?" Lena nodded once. "He owns half of Raven Rock now, and my brother helped him." Ryder's jaw tightened. "You came to the right kind of sinners, sweetheart. Start talking." Lena sat at the bar, fingers shaking around a chipped mug of coffee. "It started when Dad died last year. Left me and my brother Caleb the ranch. We were supposed to keep it together." She drew a breath that sounded like defeat. "Caleb got hooked on cards and whiskey. Raiden Cross, the lone shark with a sheriff's badge, promised to help." Ryder listened in silence, the kind that made words feel heavier. "He had Caleb sign over the land as collateral. Then they came for me." "Came for you?" Ryder asked. She nodded. "Cross told me women make good insurance. Said if Caleb ran, he'd collect me instead." The jukebox clicked off. The room went dead quiet. Every biker in the corner stopped mid-laugh. Ryder's gaze met hers, calm but cold. "And what do you want from us, Lena Hart?" Her eyes didn't waver. "Justice? Not revenge. Just someone to tell him the world still has rules." Ryder leaned forward. "Then let's remind him." They met behind the bar an hour later, 8 riders in black and chrome. The Iron Saints patch caught moonlight like a warning. Ryder stood in front of them, cigarette burning low. "She says Cross took her land, used her brother to do it, then marked her as collateral." Hawk, the club's sergeant-at-arms, spat into the dirt. "You saying he's back to branding people again?" "Worse," Ryder said. "Now he hides behind legal paper." Lena stood off to the side, arms folded tight. "He keeps records at his auto yard north of town. Title deeds, fake loans, payoff lists, everything." Hawk cracked his knuckles. "Then that's our next stop." Ryder nodded once. "But we go clean. No fire, no chaos. Just truth, loud enough that even Cross can't drown it." Lena looked at him. "And Caleb?" Ryder's tone dropped lower. "If your brother's in on this, he gets one chance to walk out." She stared at the ground. "He already had one. Iron Saints garage, 03:02 a.m. Engines idled in the yard, headlights cutting through the dark like judgment." Lena climbed into the back of Ryder's pickup, clutching a worn photo of the ranch, her last piece of home. "You sure you want to come?" Ryder asked. "I've been running for a year," she said. "Time I stopped." They rolled toward Cross's compound, a sprawl of steel warehouses and spotlights out past the dry riverbed. At the gate, 2 guards stepped out, laughter dripping like oil. "You folks lost?" one asked. "Ryder killed the engine." Not even close, Hawk stepped forward, calm but coiled. "We're looking for Raiden Cross. Tell him Ryder Cole brought his conscience." The guards laughed until a line of bikes crested the ridge behind them. Engines howling in perfect harmony. Ryder tilted his head. "Guess he's not home." "Shame." The guard's smiles vanished. "Tell him we stopped by," Ryder said, tossing a single bullet casing engraved Hart Ranch. "We'll collect our debt next sunrise." They regrouped at dawn beside the dried riverbed. A dust painting their cuts in gold. Lena stood between the bikes, wind in her hair, fear replaced by fire. "He won't stop," she said. "Cross owns the cops, the papers, everyone." Ryder nodded. Then we make sure everyone else owns the truth. By mid-morning, video of Cross's men roughing up ranchers hit social media, footage Hawk's drone had captured the night before. The Iron Saints didn't just fight, they broadcast. Within hours, Raven Rock's town board was swarmed with reporters. Cross's empire began to crack. That evening, Lena's phone buzzed. "Unknown number." She answered, Caleb's voice broken, shaking. "Lena, I messed up. They're coming for me now." She froze. "Where are you?" "Old rail yard," he gasped. "I thought Cross would pay me off, but he—" Gunshots cut the call. Ryder was already moving. "Mount up," he shouted. Engines roared to life. The Iron Saints turned west, chasing the smoke of betrayal. The rail yard sat half dead under the setting sun. Freight cars rusted like old bones. Ryder's crew rolled in silent, engines cutting out one by one until only the desert wind spoke. They found Caleb tied to a post near the edge of the tracks, face swollen, one eye sealed shut. Lena gasped. "Caleb," he stirred weakly. "You shouldn't have come." Ryder crouched, knife in hand, cutting the ropes loose. "What happened?" "He found out I talked to the feds," Caleb rasped. "Tried to get a deal to keep his money clean." "Cross didn't like that." Hawk's voice was low. "Feds?" "You didn't mention that, Lena." She shook her head. "I didn't know." Caleb grabbed Ryder's vest. "He's got files, proof on half the county." "You want justice?" "That's where it lives." "Where?" Ryder asked. "Under his auto yard. Basement below the lifts." Ryder stood, eyes narrowing. "Then that's where this ends." By midnight, the Iron Saints were ready. They rode out single file, engines humming like war drums under the starlight. Ryder led the pack, jaw locked, eyes cold. Beside him, Lena rode pillion on Hawk's bike, clutching a duffel filled with flash drives and empty hope. The compound loomed ahead, fences high, dogs restless, lights sharp. "Non-lethal if we can," Ryder said through the comms. "We're not here to burn. We're here to show they cut the power first." Hawk sliced the junction with a saw blade spark, plunging the yard into darkness. The Iron Saints moved like ghosts, breaking locks, storming offices, ripping open drawers. Lena found the steel hatch beneath the central lift, exactly as Caleb said. When Ryder pried it open, the air that came out smelled like gasoline and secrets. "Stacks of documents, hard drives, envelopes marked Sheriff's Fund," Lena whispered. "He owns the town." Ryder's voice came quiet, steady. "Not tonight, he doesn't." The sirens came faster than expected, flashing blue through the desert dark. "Move," Ryder barked. The Saints loaded the evidence into saddlebags, while Lena filmed everything, from the fake loan papers to the sealed duffels marked with government seals. Hawk tossed her his GoPro. "Keep that safe." "It's proof." She nodded, slipping it beneath her jacket. A cruiser skidded into the lot. Sheriff Alden, Cross's longtime friend, stepped out with a smirk. "Well, if it ain't the preacher of the outlaws," he drawled. "Breaking and entering coal?" Ryder didn't answer. Alden raised his gun. "Put your hands where I can." Lena stepped forward, camera still rolling. "Smile, Sheriff. You're live." The light hit his badge. He froze. Her phone streamed directly to the Iron Saints channel. 40,000 followers watching. Alden's smirk vanished. "Turn that off," he snapped. Ryder stepped up beside her. "You first." The world was watching now, and for the first time Cross's law looked afraid. By dawn, the footage had gone viral. News vans circled Raven Rock like vultures smelling truth. Headlines hit, "Nevada Sheriff linked to property fraud ring." Raiden Cross's name was all over it. Ryder. Hawk and the crew stayed low at the garage, watching chaos unfold from a cracked TV. Lena sat in silence, Caleb sleeping on the couch, bandaged and broken but breathing. Ryder leaned on the workbench. "You got what you came for." Lena shook her head. "Justice isn't done till he answers for it." As if summoned by her words, the sound of an approaching car echoed outside. Black SUV, tinted windows, cross. He stepped out, eyes sunken, fury barely leashed. "You think this ends with a camera?" he barked. "You think the law's gonna save you?" Ryder smiled, slow, dangerous. "Nah, the law's scared. But fear's enough for now." Cross's hand twitched toward his holster until he saw what waited behind Ryder. 8 bikers, standing still as statues, patches gleaming. Cross's voice cracked the silence. "You're making a mistake, Cole. I built this town." Ryder took a step closer. "Then maybe it's time for a rebuild." Hawk slid his phone into Cross's hand, open to a live stream already rolling. "Say hi to 40,000 folks, Raiden. Tell them how you brand your own citizens with debt." Cross's face went pale. He looked from Ryder to Lena, then to the patch on Ryder's vest. "Iron Saints, God forgives we don't. You'll regret this," Cross hissed. Ryder leaned in, voice low enough for only him to hear. "I already did. For every man like you, I didn't stop sooner." He turned his back and walked away. Behind him, Lena dialed the FBI tip line and uploaded every file. By noon, Cross was in cuffs. By evening, the sheriff had resigned. And by nightfall, Raven Rock finally slept, not under fear, but under freedom. The desert felt different after the storm. Raven Rock wasn't quiet. It was healing. Lena stood outside the burned-out auto yard, wind tugging her hair, dust swirling around her boots. The FBI had cleared the place that morning, hauling out boxes of ledgers and drives. But the ghosts stayed. Ryder approached, a paper cup of coffee in hand. "They're charging Cross with racketeering, embezzlement, and 4 counts of attempted homicide." Lena didn't smile. "And Caleb?" "Testifying," Ryder said softly. "They'll put him in protective custody until it's done." She nodded, but her hands trembled. "He's still my brother," she whispered. "He sold me out, but he's still blood." Ryder looked at her then. Really looked. The woman who'd risked her life to expose evil, but still found compassion for the one who broke her. "Blood ain't what makes you family," Ryder said. "It's who shows up when the world burns." Lena turned toward him, eyes glassy. "Then I guess you're family now." Later that week, the Iron Saints gathered at the Rusted Chapel, their club bar off Highway 9. The place smelled like engine oil. Bourbon and rain, home in its roughest form. Hawk was patching a new cut for Caleb's chair, a silent promise that the seat would wait for him if he ever earned it back. Tank clinked, his glass against Ryder's. "To justice, loud and legal," Ryder grinned faintly. "Didn't think we had that kind." Lena sat at the counter, tracing her finger along the wooden groove where someone had carved, "Ride in peace, never alone." "You boys always live like this?" she asked. Rex laughed. "Nah, sometimes we nap," but under the laughter was something deeper, pride, and the quiet ache of men who'd fought too many battles to count. When the music faded, Hawk leaned in. "What's next, Prez?" Ryder's gaze fell on Lena. "We ride north tomorrow. Deliver the files to the Veterans Fund Cross stole from. Close the circle." The morning sun hit the highway like fire on chrome. 10 bikes thundered through the desert, cutting the horizon in half. Ryder led up front, Lena riding her own borrowed Harley. Black, low, mean. She rode smoother than most of the crew, her jaw set, eyes hidden behind mirrored lenses. They reached the old Veterans Center in Ely Ridge, a forgotten town that Cross's money had starved for years. Inside, an old sergeant named Whitaker met them at the door, cane trembling in his grip. "Didn't think anyone still remembered us," he said. Ryder handed him a folder. "Cross stole from your rehab fund. We're giving it back with interest." The sergeant opened it, lips quivering. This could reopen the shelter." Lena placed a check on the counter. donations gathered from thousands who'd watched the Saints' live feed. "This came from everyone who believed we weren't the bad guys," she said. The old man smiled, tears streaking down weathered cheeks. "Mom," he said, "you just gave us back our dignity." That night they camped in the open desert, the sky burning orange, then melting into violet dusk. The Saints circled their bikes in a ring around the fire, a ritual as old as the roads they rode. Hawk passed a flask to Ryder. "You think Caleb will come back around?" Ryder took a sip, eyes on the horizon. "He'll have to face what he's done first." Lena sat apart, feeding the fire. The flames caught her reflection in the chrome of her tank. "He told me he did it to keep me safe. Said Cross promised to spare me if he cooperated." Ryder turned toward her. "And you believe that?" She hesitated. "I believe he thought it was true. But good intentions don't wash off blood." Ryder nodded slowly. "Neither does loyalty." The fire cracked. Coyotes howled in the distance. When the silence settled again, Lena whispered, "You ever lose someone you trusted?" Ryder looked into the flames. "Yeah, myself, for a while. And in that moment something in both of them started to heal. 3 days later, Caleb called. His voice came through weak but steady. "They offered me a deal. Testify, walk free." I told them no." Lena froze. "Why?" "Because I don't want to walk free. Not until I make things right." He paused, breath hitching. "I got something for you, Len. Cross wasn't the only one. There's more. Files in a storage unit, names tied to the same network. They'll bury it if we don't act fast." Ryder listened from across the table. "Send the address." Caleb's voice cracked. "You sure you still trust me?" Ryder looked at Lena, then spoke. "We trust redemption more than excuses." Lena exhaled, eyes glistening. "Hang on, Caleb, we'll finish what you started." When the call ended, Ryder reached for his helmet. "Looks like justice ain't done yet." Lena stood beside him. "Then neither are we." Engines roared to life again, slicing through the dusk. A brother, a sister, and a band of outlaws chasing the one thing money can't buy: truth. The storage unit was miles outside Henderson Valley, tucked between rusted grain silos and cracked desert stone. Ryder, Lena, Hawk, and Tank rolled in under the cover of dusk. The padlock was new, too new. "Trap?" Hawk murmured. Ryder nodded. "Probably." He kicked the latch open anyway. Inside was more than they expected. Rows of boxes, ledgers, and flash drives, each tagged with shell companies and wire transfers. But what froze them all was the black duffel on the table. Cash. Hundreds of thousands unmarked. Lena knelt beside it, unzipping slowly. "This is what he sold me for," she whispered. "This is my brother's price." Ryder crouched beside her. "No, this is what we'll use to burn them all down." He lifted a ledger, payments to judges, politicians, and cops. Cross wasn't just stealing money. He was buying silence. Lena's breath caught. "Then we make noise." Outside, thunder rolled across the desert, or maybe it was engines in the distance. Either way, justice was coming. They didn't sleep that night. Ryder uploaded every document, every bank trail, and every name to encrypted servers tied to news outlets across 3 states. Tank watched the upload bar crawl across the laptop screen. "Once it's out, there's no taking it back." "That's the point," Ryder said. Lena sat nearby, the desert wind tugging at her hair. "If Caleb gave us this, he's a target now." "Then we get to him first," Ryder said. By dawn, the files had gone viral. Local news broke the story of corruption tied to state contracts and organized laundering. Cross's empire was collapsing hour by hour, but with every headline came danger. A dozen men loyal to Cross were still out there, desperate, cornered, and armed. When Lena's phone buzzed, her heart stopped. A text, unknown number, they found Caleb. She showed Ryder, his jaw tightened. "Where?" "Old freight yard outside Carson." He holstered his gun. "Mount up." The saints rolled out before the sun cleared the horizon. Their engines carried one promise: no one hurts family again. The freight yard was a graveyard of metal and memory, silent but for the wind whistling through empty train cars. Ryder and the saints fanned out, boots crunching gravel, weapons drawn. Lena's heart raced as they found blood on the ground, a drag trail leading toward a warehouse. Inside, Caleb was tied to a chair, face bruised, a cut across his lip. And behind him stood two of Cross's men, the kind who smiled before pulling the trigger. "Step back," one of them barked, pointing his pistol. Ryder didn't. He moved slow, calm, like a man who'd already chosen the outcome. "You boys picked the wrong ghost to haunt," he said. Before they could respond, Tank came through the side window, silent as smoke, loud as thunder. 2 punches, 2 men down. Lena rushed to her brother, cutting the rope. "Thought you'd never show," Caleb rasped. "You keep giving me reasons," she said. When they walked out, the sirens were already coming. Cross's men were finished, and so was his kingdom. Weeks passed. Nevada breathed again. The headlines shifted. Corrupt developer arrested. Hell's Angels expose political laundering. Veterans Fund restored. The public saw the bikers not as outlaws, but as the unlikely guardians of a justice no one else dared to deliver. Lena visited Caleb in a county cell one last time. He looked thinner, tired, but his eyes were clear. "I didn't deserve your help," he said. "You didn't," she replied softly, "but I wasn't doing it for you. I was doing it to stop becoming what they made us," he smiled weakly. "Guess that's fair." She slid a folded photo under the glass. The Iron Saints lined up outside the Veterans Center, holding the flag they'd rebuilt. "I thought you should see what redemption looks like," she whispered. When she walked out, Ryder was waiting by his bike. "How was it?" he asked. Lena put on her gloves, eyes dry but fierce. "He's paying his debt. I'm done paying mine." The road stretched ahead, long, hot, and finally free. The Iron Saints gathered one last time on the ridge above Henderson. The night air carried the hum of the desert, crickets, wind, and the low growl of idling engines. Ryder stood with Lena beside the fire pit. "We ain't the law," he said quietly. "But we sure as hell ain't the villains either," Lena smiled faintly. "We're what's left when law forgets mercy." The club raised their bottles. "To those who ride for the lost, and to the ones who find their way back." Lena looked up at the stars. No ghosts left, no chains, no blood ties to weigh her down. Just the road, the hum of engines, and the sound of brothers who never let her fall. Somewhere out there, Caleb would serve his time, and maybe find his own kind of peace. But for now, the desert belonged to the saints, and to a woman who learned that justice isn't revenge. It's reclamation. If this story of loyalty, betrayal, and redemption hit you deep, hit that subscribe, drop a comment about where you ride from, and ring the bell. Because out here, family isn't blood. It's who shows up when everything falls apart and rides beside you until it doesn't.